What is up, everybody? It's your boy J Raj here, and this is the 2020 Visions podcast. And I'm glad to be here today and just have some good old discussions. Today, we are going to do the order a little differently. To start out, we're going to do a nice comic book overview featuring one of my favorite Daredevil comics, since the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is coming out on March 24th. And we're also going to be talking about some recent WWE things regarding the title changes, some matches slated for WrestleMania, and we're also going to dive into a little bit of MCU talk when it comes to the trailers. And, you know, I was hoping that the Spiderman Brand New Day trailer will actually come out sometime. But it's going to be a good episode today, and I'm glad you're here, and let's get it started. And Randy Orton pops out from the crowd with a chair. Bang! Right on Cody Rhodes' head up against the steel steps. And I literally thought he was going to hit the pose. He's just walking around. People think he's an innocent blind man. Try to rob him. Nope. You're going to get some bones broken. You're going to get bruised up. You're maybe even going to get put in a coma. He's not going to kill you, but he's going to mess you up. So people always in these streets trying to take advantage of Matt Murdock, but they learned real quick that you can't be doing that. So today for the comic book overview, we're going to be reading Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. And this comic is from 1993, and it dives into Daredevil's origin story. And it's got some amazing art by Frank Miller, who is one of my favorite comic book artists. And it's just a fun read. And to be honest, I'm doing this sort of as a pitch. If you haven't invested in the Daredevil story in the MCU, as far as like going back, watching the Netflix show, watching Daredevil Born Again Season 1, you're missing out. There's more heroes than just Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man. There's more heroes that are pretty dang exciting, and Daredevil is one of them. And if I could go back and watch that show for the first time and experience that again, I would do it every time because the show is amazing. It will exceed your expectations. And yeah, but if you just want to start by watching Born Again Season 2, which is coming out on March 24th, then this comic will kind of give you everything you need to know about Matt Murdock, Daredevil. But yeah, I love the art on this comic, and it's from 1993. So let's get it started. This is the cover. It kind of dives into Matt Murdock in his younger years. So it starts off showing that Matt Murdock, he's a kid, kind of, he's living on the edge a little bit. It makes a point to say that he's very sneaky, and he's kind of just out there doing, living kind of recklessly, just going around sneaking. And in this, he goes and steals a police officer's baton and takes off. He does get away, and it shows him retreating to the boxing gym because his dad, battling Jack Murdock, what they call him, he's like a big boxer, and they make it a point to kind of show that Jack Murdock, Daredevil, or Matt Murdock's dad, he's seen his better days with his boxing career, but I mean, Matt thinks the world of him. And it goes on to talk about how Matt is getting bullied at school, and he's telling his dad, I want to fight back. I'm tired of getting pushed around. I'm tired of getting bullied. So one day, this happens. He comes home and he tells his dad he finally just knocked this kid out. He knocked him out, and next thing you know, his dad punches him in the face. And Matt is devastated. He goes on to say that if his dad, who is the best person that he knows, can break the rules, then imagine what criminals can do and what rules they're willing to break. So it makes a point to say that at that point on, he decided that the only way to prevent this happening is to become one of the people who make laws and make rules. So him being hit by his dad, realizing that even good people can mess up like that, it makes him want to become a lawyer. So he ends up kind of becoming a bookworm, and all the kids at school start bullying him, and they start calling him Daredevil. They're picking at him because they're telling him, come out and play, like, come out and do this and that, but he's stuck to his books, so they're just being sarcastic. Oh, you're a daredevil, you're a daredevil. But they're really just picking on the fact that he's a bookworm, and he won't even come out and do anything. But it does show that to cope with this, he starts kind of getting in the gym as well, um, and getting into boxing and just learning to fight, sort of. So he kind of leans on that to cope with getting bullied. So it ends up showing that as he progresses with his training, a man is secretly watching him, and it'll be revealed who he is. But he talks about he's wanting to possibly recruit him for some war, some secret war that's going on. I'm not talking about secret wars like the big story, but anyway, this man over here in the top right, he's got his eye on Matt, but it shows that Matt is walking down the road, and he sees an old man walking out in front of a truck that has a bunch of barrels on the back of it. The old man doesn't see it. Matt runs, tackles the man to get him out of the way of the truck. But as the truck skids on their brakes, all the barrels fall out of the truck and start spilling chemicals all in the road. And they get in Matt's eyes as he's laying there after he had tackled the old man. So this ends up being what ends up turning Matt into a kid that can't see anymore. He's blind. And, in other comics, it talks about this more than in this one, but Matt Murdock being blind, when that accident happened, it was a company that was transferring some sketchy chemicals to like a science lab. So you know how Marvel is. They always got these little scientific things going wrong, and that's how people get their powers. Well, Matt got the stuff in his eyes, but it didn't just make him blind. It heightened all of his other senses. It heightened his hearing. It heightened his smell. It heightened it to where he can hear people's heartbeat blocks away. And they call his power echolocation. So that's Daredevil's power, and he got it from this accident. But anyway, it ends up showing that the man that was recruiting him, well, wanted to recruit him and was watching him training, his name is actually Stick. And he ends up approaching Matt to train him. So anytime the night comes, Matt is going out and he loves it. He loves the exhilarating time that he gets with Stick, jumping from building to building, just training, learning to fight more. So it shows Matt and Stick jumping around training. And I love this art, man. Like it's just super cool, super good. But yeah, that's Matt and Stick training some more. So it ends up showing that basically Jack Murdock, Matt Murdock's dad, he's kind of like, you can tell he felt really bad for what happened. Him hitting Matt and everything. Like, he felt bad, and he's kind of feeling like a failure as a father. And prior to this boxing match that it's showing, this man by the name of the Fixer had came up to Jack Murdock, who has done this before. The Fixer wanted him to purposefully lose this match so that the underground mob could make a bunch of money that they were betting on this match for. So usually Jack Murdock, he'll do it. He'll purposely lose to help the mob because he's actually secretly part of the mob. But at this point, he notices Matt in the crowd, and he also feels really bad because not only did he hit him not that long ago, but he also knows that his son is blind now. But even though he's supposed to lose this fight, he actually ends up deciding just to give it his all. And he ends up winning the fight. And you see at the bottom right there, the fixer is ticked off, and he's going to sick the mob dudes on Jack Murdoch. So basically, it does show them after the fight outside, he gets jumped, and Jack Murdoch gets shot and killed, unfortunately. So Matt, with his training and everything, he makes it a goal of his to get revenge on the people that were involved in this, because prior to this, I didn't show the panel for it. He had heard, before his dad got killed, he had heard and seen a few specific guys talking to Matt's dad, telling him, about how their company, the mob ran, a company the mob ran, was actually the ones that owned those barrels of chemicals. And they were saying, although this was their chemicals, that they're not going to take responsibility, but that they are really sorry that Matt is blind now, Jack's son. They were telling Jack this. So anyway, in the past, Matt had already caught a glimpse of some of these mob members. So after his dad is killed for not selling the fight, for knocking a dude out in the boxing match, Matt remembers in his head, okay, these are the guys that I need to go after because I seen them before. So sure enough, he rolls up to the gym where his dad would train, and there's two guys there. The lights go out, and then he appears in the ring. And this big boy, this big SOB, son of a gun right here, he goes to challenge Matt, but he's surprised. He ends up being shocked because Matt lays a smackdown on that dude because of that training he's got from Stick. So they go on to fight. And then Matt says that, he's taking a tally. How many more people I got to go after? And basically, as he's going after that big dude in the issue, or the panel before, I should say, he sees the fixer open the door, crack it open, and peek in there. And when he sees what's happening, he takes off. So Matt, he starts leaping the rooftops, going after the fixer, who is the guy who put the hit on Jack Murdoch, Matt's dad. He goes after him, hops on his car, and it shows that the fixer runs out, gets cornered by a wall, and is pointing a gun at Matt. He's about to shoot, and then he has a heart attack. The fixer has a heart attack and dies. So next, there's a guy in the group. I think his name is Angelo, I'm wanting to say. Let me double check this. Yeah, so he goes to track a man named Angelo, who is actually in the club. And so what happens is he jumps in the window and tries to grab Angelo. But as he does, a bunch of the women in the club start trying to fight Matt back. And as they're fighting, one of the women lunges at Matt, and he just, using his normal defenses, dodges her, and she falls out the window. This random woman at the club that wasn't even involved, she's wanting to fight for her pimp daddy, Angelo, and she goes and she falls out the window, and she's a goner. And Matt is absolutely devastated because he's not trying to kill anybody. He's just trying to get vengeance for his dad. But this lady falls out the window and dies, and he feels responsible. So he, to cope with everything he's had going on in his life, going blind, losing his dad, he makes a point to come out every night, and just the exhilaration of running around the city, kind of fighting crime here and there, that helps him cope with all this loss that he's experienced. So he ends up, one night he goes out and he happens to see a girl on one of the rooftops, and she's jumping from roof to roof. And he from a distance, he likes what he sees, and he tries to chase after this girl, but he makes it a point to say that she's faster and more agile than he is. So he is just struck by this. He's like, whoa, like this is crazy to see. But something about this girl that I didn't mention earlier in the comic is that before Stick actually officially recruits Matt to train him, when he's watching Matt, it shows him talking to someone else saying that Matt and the girl, who is actually revealed to be Elektra, that Matt and the girl are the main ones that he wants to recruit for the battle. But he does say that he wants to keep Matt and Elektra separate because Elektra has like a darker side that he feels like if the enemy wanted to, he says the enemy, whoever that is, if they wanted to recruit Elektra, she could probably easily turn to the darker side and go the darker path. So it ends up showing Matt and Foggy Nelson. So Foggy Nelson is Matt Murdock's best friend. They were roommates in college when Matt is going to law school. They're both becoming lawyers. And also Matt and Foggy, like they're both huge parts, obviously, of the Daredevil show. Obviously Matt is, but Foggy is in the show. He's one of the main characters as well. But this shows Matt and Foggy. They're kind of going around campus in the snow. And next thing you know, this girl pulls up in a dang Corvette, literally just looks at Matt. And I guess he's like hypnotized. And he hops in because he recognizes her. And she saw him too on that roof. It's Elektra. And she's apparently scoped him out because she knows where he goes to college. She comes, give him a look. And he's just falling right into her plan. Well, I don't want to say plan, but she obviously wants to spend some quality time with him. And he does just that. He hops right in that Corvette. And it goes on to show that she can't drive. Or maybe she can drive, but she chooses to drive like 100 miles an hour. And it ends up showing that Elektra, she gets kind of like a high off of exhilarating things. And she goes and she takes Matt to basically up on this mountain up here. And she ends up saying that, she says that as soon as I saw you on the roof, I knew we were two of a kind, always drawn to the edge. And when she says that, Matt keeps thinking about that girl in the club that had fell off the edge of the window and died. But it shows Elektra, she likes to live on the edge. And Matt he's so attracted to her, he's like head over heels over her. But deep in his heart, he knows that, I think he knows there's something off, but because of how exhilarating it is being with her, he chooses to stay with her. And it ends up, I shouldn't have painted this yet, but it shows Elektra, she's basically walking through town, and she purposefully is wearing things that are kind of revealing. Like she wants to bait someone in to have an interaction with her. So she walks past this group of guys in an alley wearing some skimpy clothes, and they make some perverted comments to her. And it shows that this is exactly what she wanted. She wanted a reason to beat some people up. So it shows her going berserk on these dudes, just like beating them up bad. Look at that. She like shoved something in this dude. Like it said it broke his nose to where his nose went in his brain and killed him. She ended up killing 5 guys in this alley, and she gets enjoyment of it. And the police end up finding all the bodies. But it pans over to this next panel, and it shows that Matt, apparently he hasn't seen Stick in about a year. Once that girl had fell out of the window, Stick decided that he thinks Matt is too dangerous, and I guess he thinks Matt is also someone that could easily be recruited for the dark side. So for a whole year, Stick doesn't train Matt. Well, after this happens with Elektra, I guess Stick finds out Elektra killed 5 people. Matt wakes up to Stick in his room and he confronts him and tells him that he has to stay away from Elektra, that she is trouble, and that he cannot go down that path with her. But anyway, Matt, he doesn't listen though. He's intoxicated by her. And it shows that he definitely don't listen. He's going skiing with her. They're hanging out. They're falling in love. There's some other panels that just show them hanging out, obviously in love, smooching and all that stuff, you know. They're having the time of their life together. But then randomly one day, Elektra ends up telling Matt that her dad, who is a very rich man, and it showed Matt when he would hang out with her, he had to sneak past a bunch of security guards at the mansion to get up to Elektra's room to hang with her. But it ends up showing that Elektra says that her dad was killed and that she has to leave town for a while, maybe even for good. So Daredevil, or we'll call him Matt Murdock, he's like, he thinks, you know, this came out of left field. He doesn't understand what really is going on. He knows there's something deeper. But sure enough, it shows her leaving in a plane. And ends up showing, this is intense right here, the crime boss, who now is in charge of the underground mafia. Some of the people that are under him, they're tempting him with taking part in some really dark crimes, like such as like human trafficking and just getting some of the hardest drugs on the street. And he has a meeting with the mafia, or well, not the mafia, but the mob members, and he says, you know, we're just gonna do the more simple crimes. Although we're criminals, you know, we still have morals. As soon as he says this, someone from behind in the shadows comes, snaps the dude's neck, and apparently this dude was building a secret empire, and it's revealed to be the Kingpin himself. Matthew Murdock must be cleansed from these streets. All right, that's from the show. But yeah, it shows Kingpin, and I love the art, the way they portray him, just this massive dude, real intimidating. He wants to do the dark stuff. He don't care who's hurt. He just wants to make the money, baby. So in this moment, he is now in charge of the underground mob. And because people got the money on their mind, they're willing to follow this man. So Matt, it pans to him just kind of doing his thing, fighting crime any chance he gets. You know, shows him clotheslining two guys. Like, he's just walking around. People think he's an innocent blind man. Try to rob him. Nope. You're going to get some bones broken. You're going to get bruised up. You're maybe even going to get put in a coma. He's not going to kill you, but he's going to mess you up. So people always in these streets trying to take advantage of Matt Murdock, but they learn real quick that you can't be doing that. And dude is a savage. Like, he ain't going to kill you, like I said, but he's going to mess you up for real. And just kind of naturally, what do you think? Do you think that he's going to end up coming in contact with some underground mob members? If you do think that, then you're correct. Because as he's fighting crime, and this suit looks like the one he wears some in the Netflix series, as he's fighting crime, he does end up messing up some of the affairs of Kingpin, some of the crime that he's got going on the streets to make money. Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, he's messing the Kingpin's plans up. And it's inevitable that they're going to cross paths. This is sick. It shows somebody shooting a bullet. He, because his echolocation, gets the baton, freaking hits the bullet, knocks this dude in the head with the bullet. It doesn't say if he died or not. So I don't know. He might have killed somebody. I'm not sure. But sure enough, the Kingpin starts hearing about this masked vigilante that keeps messing up his deals on the streets. Like I said, it's inevitable that they cross paths. And he says that we have to find out more about who this man is. That this can't keep happening, basically. But then at the end, it pans that he finally gets the nice red suit. And that is the origin of Daredevil, the man without fear, the masked vigilante. So I hope that y'all enjoyed that. That was the comic book overview for the day. I'm so hyped for Born Again Season 2 on March 24th. So I hope that maybe by me just diving into Matt Murdock, the Daredevil's origin story, maybe y'all will be willing to watch the new show or go back and watch the Netflix show, because you won't regret it. And sometimes I wish I could be y'all, some people who haven't watched that yet. I wish I could watch it again for the first time. Anyway, that was that. And we're going to move on to some more stuff regarding the MCU. Week after week after week after week, we've been hearing Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer dropping this week. It doesn't happen. Oh, this week, the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. Yeah, it never happens. And as a fan, I'm like itching to see kind of the vibe that they're going to be portraying for this movie. But I'm not going to sit here and complain though, because here's the thing, and this is the main topic I want to talk about with this. Marvel, they have a habit of showing way too much in their trailers, in my opinion, for the MCU. Like, for example, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm thinking it was the first night it came out. So I didn't get any spoilers for any of the appearances or cameos. So when Gambit came out, when Blade came out, when Elektra came out on that, I was like surprised, and I thought, dude, this is so cool. I could feel the aura coming through the screen. And it was a complete shock to me. So I ended up loving Deadpool and Wolverine. I was like, that's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a while. And I think it's because I didn't really end up seeing any spoilers on the trailer. But literally within 2 weeks of the movie being in theaters, Marvel starts putting more trailers and promotions out there. And they're showing glimpses of these cameos. They're showing Gambit. They're showing Blade. And it's like, dang, I feel bad for the people who saw this just literally scrolling on Instagram. Because if I was one of those people that got that spoiled, I would have been kind of disappointed. And then another example is like back when Captain America Civil War came out. You know, the big cameo in that was the debut of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And do you think they waited and just let that cameo be a surprise? Nah, they didn't. On the trailers, they showed Spider-Man snatching up Captain America's shield. Like, come on. Like, y'all could have let us fans get a surprise for once, you know? But no, that's the thing I want to dive into. That's kind of, I guess, Marvel's marketing scheme. Because in reality, I know that I'm somebody who follows so many pages that give like inside leaks or, you know, a lot of insider information about the plans for these movies, the storylines for these movies, all the specifics. But the question you got to ask is, do I represent the majority of the consumers that are going to be watching this movie? If you're one of those people that get leaks and you get insider info, are you one of the people who represents the majority? Probably not. We're probably not. I mean, these movies sometimes bring in $1 billion. So I feel like the people who get the info like me or follow the right pages like that or like y'all, it's a very small percentage. And Marvel, even though they care about their big fans, they want to reach the people who haven't seen a Marvel movie in a while. The people who haven't kept up with all the insider information. They want to bring new people into this thing. So what better way, I guess this is their mindset, what better way than to show that guy that used to be on the 90s cartoon Gambit, these 30-year-olds that might have memories of that. That's going to make them want to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, for example. Or showing Spider-Man in the Civil War trailer. Everybody can go crazy about Spidey. Like whether you're like a giant nerd about this stuff or if you're just kind of on a base level. They know what they're doing, and I can't say I blame them. I mean, I guess that's one of the ways they get people in seats in the theaters, is they do show a ton in their trailers. And I will say, even with Daredevil Born Again season 2, they released some teaser trailers this past week, and I don't know, it's like some intense action on there. Part of me wishes they would kind of chill out with that a little bit, but it just is what it is. I mean, we have to realize that we don't represent the majority of the people who watch the Marvel products. They want to get seats in the chairs that haven't been there in a while, so. But we can still find enjoyment in all this, and we can still just keep doing our stuff, figuring out the insider info and all that jazz. But yeah, that's my mindset on that. But now we're going to dive into some WWE stuff regarding just the road to WrestleMania, because that thing is happening right now. And I didn't even do the math in my head till just now. WrestleMania is basically in about a month, which is kind of crazy if you ask me. Time is flying by. So we're going to talk about some WWE news regarding that, and just some potential rivalries and things that might be leading up to some big matches. And specifically, to start out, I'm going to talk about Randy Orton. And I'm going to give a little background. So Randy Orton, literally for the past few years, he hasn't had like any storylines that have been too deep, to be honest with you. I mean, a couple years ago in the King of the Ring tournament, they had him and Gunther face off, and Gunther pinned Randy, but the crowd, and they posted it all over social media, was like, oh, Randy's shoulders weren't down. So they made kind of a little storyline with that, giving Randy another match with Gunther because he felt like it was owed to him because his shoulders were never down. That was a little storyline. You know, like he had this thing building with Kevin Owens. They were partners, and then Kevin Owens turned on him. And it got to the point where we were almost seeing 2009 Randy Orton coming back. Just that savage side of him. He attempted to do the head punt, the punt kick on Kevin Owens multiple times, which would have been crazy, but he never was able to. And like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton last year, they had a WrestleMania match lined up, but not long before WrestleMania, Kevin Owens had a potential career in an injury. And it kind of messed up Randy Orton's future trajectory, like of what WWE was going to be doing with him. And I mean, since then, he's been placing some filler things, like for instance, the John Cena retirement tour. Him and Randy, everybody knows they were big rivals. They had a really good match. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, that was for the sake of just letting John Cena play his greatest hits. And I mean, Randy Orton, like, he's been in like these little tournaments and like seeing who's the number one contender and this kind of stuff. And at one point, like, I will say this, Cody Rhodes, ever since Cody Rhodes came back to the WWE in 2022, everybody's been itching to see Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. And at one point in the King of the Ring tournament last year, they had Cody Rhodes and Randy in the finals. And Randy actually tried to cheat. He pulled off the turnbuckle, and he was going to throw Cody into it on the exposed metal, and it backfired. Cody moved. Randy got hit by the metal turnbuckle, and Cody ended up winning. And Randy was raging. He was like, like it looked like he was about to just go savage and turn in like the 2009 Randy Orton again. But they didn't, WWE really didn't follow through with that. It was just kind of like, like that was the perfect opportunity. So he thought. And that's the thing. Like I said, he wasn't in many meaningful storylines over the last few years other than Kevin Owens. So I've been itching for Cody versus Randy feud for a while, but I've been thinking, how would they do this? But the WWE Universal title has been jumping. Cody to Drew to Cody again. And next thing you know, Randy Orton won the Elimination Chamber, setting up Cody versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And this, to me, it was a big surprise because a month ago I was thinking this is what I would like, but how would they set that up? But hey, one title changing hands can do wonders for a storyline. And sure enough, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton had their contract signing for their WrestleMania match tomorrow. Not tomorrow, at WrestleMania. And Cody Rhodes did his thing at the beginning of that contract signing. Randy Orton, I know I'm not your son, but I've always been your boy. The greatest of all time. Like, I don't remember if he said that, but he was sucking up to Randy big time. And Randy was like, hold up, Cody. Like, I think you're misunderstanding this. I need this. That was supposed to be Drew McIntyre I'm facing. I need this. And Cody interrupts him, and he's just really on a cringy level. Just like, bro, like, you're being a little too lovey-dovey with this man. He's a man. But anyway, Randy Orton ends up kicking Cody, doing the low blow, smashing his head on the table, brings him outside, hits him with the steel steps, gets him bleeding, he's wailing on him, boom, 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 Jelly Roll comes out. Randy Orton pushes Jelly Roll. He pushes the security, sets up the steel steps behind Cody Rhodes' head, and then his conscience is playing with him, or so he thought. Randy Orton starts to go walking out. The crowd's thinking, okay, he's gone. Next thing you know, everybody's like, call a medic, call a medic. And Randy Orton pops out from the crowd with a chair. Bang! Right on Cody Rhodes' head up against the steel steps. And I literally thought he was going to hit the pose. I was hoping, man, but he didn't do it. But I really believe that was the most impactful Randy Orton segment in years. And it sets up WrestleMania perfectly. But they do kind of have a problem, though. The crowd is cheering for Randy. Us fans, we're kind of tired of seeing the suck up babyface Cody Rhodes. Like, Randy Orton's at the point we're going to cheer for him regardless if he's doing something diabolical or if he's like being the babyface. We're going to cheer for him. So WWE's got to figure out something with that, because I don't think they want two baby faces at WrestleMania facing off. So they're going to have to get Randy Orton really embracing the 2009 side. Really do something pretty diabolical. But I'm here for it, bro. Punt him, Randy. Punt him. There was a guy in the crowd in the front row. He's like, finish him, Randy. Finish him. And you could see the security guard, like, he was not sure whether he should move this guy back a little bit. The dude was getting so hyped to see Randy just freaking going savage on Cody. And that's going to be a match I got to play on WWE 2K26 for video. It's a perfect time for that. But, yeah, now as far as the other WWE stuff, I'm going to dive into that now. I'm hyped for that match, though. So another impactful thing that us fans have kind of been itching for that's happened recently, this past Monday, or I guess I'll say last Monday, is that Finn Balor, he got kicked out of the Judgment Day. You know, there's been this lingering thing. Who is the actual leader of the Judgment Day? I mean, they've been going since 2022. You know, the original members are gone. Damian, Rhea, Edge. Finn is still in it, though. And Dominic. Or they were, I should say. Anyway, Finn, he confronted the Judgment Day and was saying, like, you know, y'all aren't really living up to what you're supposed to. We're supposed to be winning. We're supposed to be doing this and that. And Dominic Mysterio, he's all ticked off because he lost his Intercontinental Championship to Penta. And Dominic says some smart things to Finn. Finn says, you know what? Maybe your dad was right. Maybe you are like just a wimp, basically. So Dominic shoves Finn. Finn does his Pele kick. And then the Judgment Day just start beating up Finn Balor. So he's gone. Like, he's not in the Judgment Day anymore. And in a way, that's kind of like a face turn for Finn Balor. And, you know, he's been having some momentum. You know, he's had the little rivalry with CM Punk for a little bit. The fact that Finn Balor got brought up in a CM Punk Roman Reigns promo, That's pretty cool to me. And us fans, we've been itching, like, because we know what Finn Balor can do, us true fans. Before his injury, he had won the Universal title. He used to beat Roman Reigns. He used to beat Seth Rollins, wins the Universal title, ends up having to give it up the day after he earned it because of injuries. And he's never been put in that position again. So what I'll say, though, is when a group turns on a prominent member of a group, you can expect some kind of big trajectory, most likely, for Finn Balor leading up to WrestleMania. As of recent, one of the good examples of that is Io Sky. Io Sky was in Damage Control, and Bayley and Dakota Kai turned on Io Sky. And what did that do for Io Sky's character? She is arguably the most popular women's wrestler right now, beside Ripley. So I'm thinking Finn Balor, he's on a trajectory to have a major push. And I hope so, because I know what he can do. A lot of y'all know what he can do. And yeah, this is good for Finn Balor. And another thing I wanted to talk about was the debut of Danhausen. I'll admit, whenever they had that crate randomly show up to Raw and SmackDown, I immediately thought back to the Eric Rowan storyline where he's carrying around this cage. Everybody's like, what's in the cage? What's in the cage? Ends up being this freaking fake tarantula. Like, dude, y'all fumbled that big time. So I was thinking, this crate better not have something dumb in it, like some animal or something. Well, animals aren't dumb, but you get what I mean. But anyway, when this dude come out with these women wearing black, just dancing like this and crap, you are cursed. Like, I was like, who in the world is this guy? And I'm sorry, I just didn't know. I'm sorry, I really didn't. And I didn't know how to feel about it. But literally within a couple weeks, Danhausen has had so many really funny segments backstage. Dominic Mysterio smarted off to him, and he said, oh, you want to say that to me? You are cursed. And Dominic loses his Intercontinental Championship that night. There's fan footage of Danhausen during commercial breaks coming out, throwing t-shirts out to the crowd, chanting that if you don't buy the t-shirt, you are cursed. And the crowd, they finishing the same for him. He's got the crowd behind him already in weeks, so that's a big turnaround. Like, I'm a fan now. I just didn't know about him, and I wasn't sure about him, but he's funny, and there's a place for wrestlers like that. I mean, you look at R-Truth, fans love him. He's probably getting close to the end of his career, but if they bring in characters such as Danhausen that can play that comedic role, and I don't know what he can do in the ring. Maybe he's got the moves too. But there is always a spot for that comedic role, and I think he's feeling it very well. But speaking of R-Truth, something that he's got going on is him and Damian Priest have been teaming up, and they planted seeds for that a long time ago. A few years ago, R-Truth wanted to join the Judgment Day when Damian was still in it. And you would have Damian Priest breaking character during the segments. It was funny. And even then I was thinking, what if Damian ends up standing up for R-Truth? Because the Judgment Day was mean to him. I really thought Damian, that was going to be what made him leave Judgment Day, was he stands up for R-Truth. That wasn't how it worked out, but fast forward to now, they kind of planted seeds for Damian and R-Truth a few years ago. And they got like a really funny dynamic, interesting, and I think they're a good team. And they actually have a tag team title match coming up sometime soon against the Wyatt Six. I don't remember exactly when it is, but so that's cool to see. And another thing, and the last thing I'm going to mention about WWE, within a span of 2 months, Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes, lost it, and then quits WWE. What? I thought, okay, he lost the championship. Now they're going to just have him and Jacob Fatu fight at WrestleMania. But no, he just flat out quit. Like, he was calling out Nick Aldis, like, Nick, get out here now. You're the one that made me defend my title on SmackDown. Put me on the spot. Dude just flat out quits after Jacob Fatu came out there and confronted him. And I've been reading comments online, and a lot of fans are like, when a superstar says I quit, that means they're going to film a movie somewhere. Which I think that's true. I'm sure he's going to be back. I mean, I'm a huge Drew McIntyre fan, and I feel like I speak for a lot of other people too. So, and it's kind of another lingering thing is, who ran over Jacob Fatu? He got hit by a car. Like, part of me thought that they were going to, like, try to reveal that sometime soon, but hey, that could be something for the future that they pull out of their back pocket. But that's the main WWE stuff I wanted to talk about. I am so hyped for WrestleMania in April. I think it's in April. I'm so hyped for Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And I got like some comics back here that I bought around the holidays that I still have yet to read. I'm excited to read those. And yeah. Also, we'll see if we get a Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer sometime soon. But first off, if y'all got any comic book recommendations that you would like for me to do on the overview, drop a comment. If you have any kind of mindsets about anything I talked about, drop a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, because I'm building my channel and the algorithm is hard to figure out sometimes. But a like and a subscribe always help. So I'm J Raj, and this was the 2020 Visions podcast. Hit RKO to that subscribe button, baby. See ya.